Hello, 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 you guys. How are you? Welcome to Life Discussions with Dr. Jefferson. Today, I will be doing the show primarily off camera. Why? Because I cannot have my light on in here, and it's pretty dark, as you can see. Because I can't have the light on simply because I'm having some serious allergy issues or whatever with my eyes. See, it's so irritated. Oh my god, I look like somebody sucker punched me, but whatever. So there's that part. On tonight's show, first of all, I'm back, right? Hello, I'm back in here. And I know a lot of folks are like, oh my God, you're so inconsistent. You've not been around like you're supposed to. Your shows are supposed to be on Monday evenings and you don't do that. And sometimes I don't because sometimes you got to take time off to get things done that you need to get done. However, I am still striving for my YouTube following goal of 1,000 subs before the end of this year. So do you know what your part is in that whole thing? It's to kind of share the content, right? So go ahead, do me that wonderful solid and share the content, especially if this video resonates with you at all, because the discussion that we're going to have today is one around accountability that I think a lot of folks may not agree with, but hey, it's one that needs to be had. The content creators that I have tagged on YouTube, anyway, are folks that are known for the continuous argument against who's most valuable, the woman or the man. And of course, having the arguments around the divestment from one or the other. But today we're going to talk about the movie King Richard, its portrayal of a Black father in America of two very famous tennis stars, Venus and Serena Williams. And we're going to talk about the way that their sister Sabrina and, his first family responded to seeing this. And if you've seen the movie, share your perspectives. Let me know how you feel about the movie. If it was good to you, if it's something that you felt like it was, if you felt like it was enjoyable or whatever. I hope to not be on here too long tonight because, like I said, I am struggling with these allergies and I would like to probably get in bed and all that good stuff. In fact, I'm already ready, right, for bed. So there's that. So give me a chance to play these wonderful disclaimers in my intro, and I'll see you guys back here in a couple of minutes or so. Hello, 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 you guys. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. So, as I mentioned a moment ago, I'm going to probably do the vast majority of this show without my camera. Why? Because, like, duh, I'm having these allergy issues. Like, did you guys see the intro? Mm, it's not great. It's dark in here. So, instead, we'll do the video with that. I mean, we'll do the show. We'll do the show without the video. However, we're definitely going to have the conversation. So, King Richard is a movie that was released that was supposed to be like kind of like the a biopic of the trail for Venus and Serena Williams, right? And I think the budget for the movie was like friggin' ridiculous. I think it was 5 million, over $5 million or something like that. Like who budgets out that much and doesn't tell an accurate depiction or an accurate story, right? So we see some people in the movie, starring in the movie, that are huge in the film industry. Whenever you put Will Smith in a movie, I think that we all know the movie is supposed to be one that will gain an Emmy or something, right? Anywho, over the course of this movie, right, the first thing that you have, I think, is the title, right? So the title is supposed to impact you in a certain way. How many movies have we seen with a black man being depicted in that movie and being referenced as a king and then being the centralized component of that particular movie? How many movies? None. So, the first thing that I want to start this off by saying is that oftentimes people are traumatized, and let this be my trigger warning, right? Some folks grow up in life and they don't have their father, and they are black. They happen to be black people, or they happen to be people from a different culture, but they still don't have their father. And as a result of them growing up without those said fathers, those people will be triggered by some of the content that we will discuss in today's discussion, because you guys know that this is a platform that centers around accountability around issues that impact directly and indirectly the melanated community in America and abroad. So let's have this conversation. King Richard, King Richard, King Richard, this movie. Venus and Serena Williams have been long asked to tell their story. Lots of people want to know, first of all, how did a black family who didn't grow up with money, right? How did a black family without means or financial stability manage to raise not one, but two superstars in the industry of tennis? How did black people take over a league that is filled with white faces, pale faces of many other nations as well, but still not too many black faces? Okay. So many people have been long awaiting the story of Venus and Serena and how they became so successful in a country, in a sport that literally most folks would say was not for them. And let's just be honest, Black people have longitudinally been known to say that nothing in this world, especially in America, was built or made for us. So, how is it that you see these two young women who obviously came from impoverished situations? How is it that they managed to overcome the obstacles that life, just life in America, would have otherwise put in front of them? And so I think that when Serena is asked this question and she comes up with her depiction of this story of how their success made a way through no way at all, I think what Serena is saying in her narrative when she says that the only way that they can tell their biopic story is through the eyes of their father, I think what she's saying is that there are not a lot of depictions of Black men in the media or otherwise as kings. Black men are not seen for their greatness, and Black fathers overcome adversity that can't even be imagined every single day. But for whatever reason, we, the people, we, the majority, find a way to strip that black man of all of his grace, all of his glory, all of his triumph, because we are hurt. But it's important for her, a woman, a black woman, who recognizes the impact of her black male father. It is important for her to tell the story of her father and how that impacted her success, how that led to what we now see as goals in life. Hey, tough love, how are you? So, a lot of folks, the first comment that you see in the aftermath of this being released is, "Oh my God, that can't be true. That is just, it's just too much. It's too much drama. Too much drama. Black people don't go through that drama. Black men don't go through that kind of trouble to raise their families. This is not a thing that Black families go through." You saw so many people rush to criticize in that way first. So, what do you think that people in the media, when I say people, for the vast majority, people, what do you think people do during those moments? They reach out for the gossip that can discredit this story of greatness, this depiction of true stability, triumph, impact, resiliency, all of these things that this black man was painted to be, right? The media moves to deconstruct that slowly. So, of course, they would go to children of this man, dig up his history, and look for the negative connotations associated with this man. There is absolutely no way that we're going to have a black man have a movie release on this type of budget and have the box office is filled so that we can tell the story of a black male king, a black man who is to be worshipped, like Cynthia G would put it, right? Hey, Lisa, how are you? So the media moves to discredit. Okay. Now, when you're watching this movie unfold, there are several things that we see in this movie that we know to be the story of so many black people that we know or we look at in the mirror every day. Okay. That's the reality. We know that life is not hard out here in these streets, as they say. The first thing we think before we even see the title of the movie is that, I don't know, maybe this man was a person who was a king. We don't think that, okay, we may be watching the picture of Venus and Serena. What we first think is that maybe this is a movie and, of telling the story of the olden age, right? Awesome, awesome. Yes, Lisa, I am doing great. Just, allergy stricken over here, trying to do what I need to do to make sure that I remain well and balanced and calibrated. Okay. So I had to fix my daughter's wonderful typo. But so, what did you guys think when you first saw the title of the movie? I told you what my first impressions were, like King Richard. Like, I wasn't expecting this movie to be released anytime soon, and I've not been following the movies. It's pandemic, okay? So, did you think that you were going to watch the story of Venus and Serena Williams unfold on the screen? Or did you think you were watching something made back in the 300 days? um, for me, I told you guys I thought that maybe it would be one of those older movies. So at first I was not interested. And then my daughter was like, well, no, it's the story of Venus and Serena. And I was like, okay, well, I guess we could watch that. It sounds good. But I'm really not into the whole biopic thing. Not really into that. But watched it nonetheless. In the aftermath of watching it, I felt like, oh my God, how sad, but how beautiful to tell the story in a way that would leave the viewers impacted in the way that you were impacted by the sacrifices of your father, the dedication of your father, tenacity of your father, the triumphs of your father, regardless of how the world may see this man depicted. And so, what would the media continue to do? The media would still reach out for more negative things about this man. So, we see him depicted as a more negative person as they are painting the picture of his instability with his young wife. As we're looking at the chilling details of his divorce proceedings and separation with this young wife, I see a court system that has taken mercy over a felony forgery of this woman, and she's gonna justify it with, oh well, I was gonna make sure that my kid and I could eat. And now this man is losing his home. What you see is a man who saw several failures. He saw several attempts at life not yield what it is that he was hoping for. And he married Oracine with the intent and the purpose of accomplishing a goal at some point. He felt like, okay, she's athletic and I'm athletic. Like we could come up with a plan, and this plan could definitely lead to what it is that I see as goals in life or our impending success that we have not grabbed a hold to, right? And decided to embark upon. So what I see is the media now trying to dethrone this man simply because they've capitalized on the trauma that every child experiences, every person experiences when they break ties from a person that was significant in their lives. And then in the aftermath of those ties being broken, however they were broken, those people come out on the positive end of life after several people have watched that person fail. After several people have watched and not even tried to intervene and help this Black man, right? And it probably would cost them nothing to lend a hand, to say a kind word even. But these several Black people that have watched the Black man succumb so many times over, to finally see that there is a plan that was devised in the mind of a Black man that led to greatness. I think the world that we are living in right now has sought out to dethrone this man simply because there has to be a flaw, there has to be something, there has to be a stone that has been unturned. We left it unturned so we can see this Black man for what he truly is. He's just another Black man. He's a Black man that has done the thing that we say Black men do. He's left somebody as a baby mama out here in these streets. He's divested from his family. He's left Black children without a father in the home. He is what the society, he's what the media considers to be the typical Black man. That is what the media has sought out to teach us, to teach the people that are watching in the back, to teach everybody about Black men. Because it's not just about King Richard. It's about the fact that King Richard is the representation of the Black man. So let's delve a little further into this, how the media has capitalized on the trauma of his children that were left behind in the marriage that came before Venus and Serena. When we hear the story of Sabrina, I think, was 6 or 8 years old at the time her father left. She says her father was leaving and he told her that he'd be going to buy her a bike, and he never returned. Instead, he took up a home with Oracine and married her and had these kids and more kids. And he just never looked back on the family that he had. I think they said that he had a 6-week-old child as well. His wife had recently delivered. But let's talk about what children do not see. We all tell our story from our eyes. This story was told from the eyes of his daughter, Serena, not Sabrina. And so if the story is being told from Serena's eyes and not Sabrina's eyes, who came way before she was ever born, Why would there be a mention of a family that he had before she was ever born? Of a family that did not contribute to her existence nor the existence of her sisters from her mother? Why would you be included if this story is being told from her? Why would you have to make it about you? So, trauma is the answer. Because we are traumatized when people betray us, because that's what it was for that young girl, that young 6 or 8 year old girl who sat in that space waiting for her father to return with a gift for her. It was a traumatic experience when he didn't return. It was a traumatic experience every day. It was a traumatic experience every year on the anniversary of that same day. And what happens is everything is now about her. And nothing else in this world matters. It's not about him walking out on his family, it's about him walking out on her. And the realities are children don't see what's behind closed doors. They don't see the struggles that their parents are going through prior to divesting from one another. They don't see the toxic patterns of behavior that lead to sometimes abrupt decisions being made like this. And they don't see the pain or the trauma of the adults because children are not meant to process complex trauma and the responses of adults. All children know is what their parents feel. And at that moment, this little girl felt her mother's pain because there was a relationship that she was very much a part of with her husband that now was over. And for whatever reason, they didn't go through the proper process. Now, as Serena tells her story of her success and her father's contribution, we see the title King Richard being seen as something that tells a imperfect picture of who this man was. Says that some people say he wasn't worthy. He needs to be dethroned. Stop pedestalizing the black man because black men do what black men do. And just because he stayed around because there was money this time around doesn't mean that he is a black man that was meant to stay around. Otherwise, he would not be divorced again and then married to this young lady going through a divorce, right? They look for the negative patterns of behavior instead of looking to the positive, the impact. Apparently, Sabrina is a hurt woman. And I get it. She's definitely due her pain and validation in her pain and her experience as well. But this movie was not meant to validate her experience. This movie was not meant to talk about her at all. It was about two tennis stars, of which she is neither. Neither. Just because you share a father with someone doesn't mean that you have the right to invalidate their experience. Just because a man's skin is black does not mean that he is incapable of greatness. Sometimes fathers fall short of the glory of humanity. One can't say glory of God because obviously he stepped into the fulfillment of the fathering role to another family, his second family. And obviously God saw it as befitting for him to get a full-on second chance. Third chance, if you will, if you're counting the son of that young wife, that last one that he's divorcing currently. But when we mature into spaces where we can understand the impact of loss and we can understand the impact of closure, because, and I mentioned this for a reason, you guys, Sabrina, when she was interviewed, mentioned that she didn't even think that she would go to her father's funeral because she didn't feel like he was her father anymore because he wasn't there for her. If you have truly found closure, you don't see it befitting to rain on the parade of this man as he's depicted from your sister's eyes as the number one contributing factor to her success. You don't go along with the media when the media attempts to divide and conquer. The world we live in makes it difficult enough for the Black man to live his lived experience every day without the help of the media tearing him down. The world has made it difficult enough. They've done that already. Why is it that we always look to the negative? I think that we have to ask ourselves, what biases do we carry around on a day to day basis that contribute to these spaces where the media continues to capitalize on the pain of the Black community as their headline, as their entertainment? And how are we contributing to that when we go along and we divest from those people, when we dethrone those people? And we now capitalize all of the stories on all of the stories that tell their negative story, but we never ever live to tell or contribute to the positive stories about those people. What is wrong with our perception? How is it that our biases of what the Black man should be contributes to the stagnation of Black male culture? How do people who find it to be their calling to go onto social media and other platforms and gossip about the losses and the brokenness of another man, how do those people continue to rise to the top? What does that say about the perception of us as human beings? What does that say about our capacity for growth and maturation? When we take away a person's truth, when we seek to invalidate a person's reality, we place ourselves above that person. People are only human beings, though. No one is above the other. If we're the people seeking to place ourselves above someone else, that means that we think that we are gods ourselves, that we are perfect in some way ourselves. No one person is worthy or more worthy than the next. And the realities are we are all worthy to be acknowledged in the glory in which we attribute to other people's lives, their journeys. When do we become people who elevate their mindsets, who shift their perspectives from crabs in a bucket, crabs in a barrel, crabs in a pot, to crabs that never made it to the pot, crabs that never made it to the net, because we supported one another appropriately? I just don't know. Even though a lot of folks say that, therapy is a gimmick and it's rigged and it's not beneficial for everybody and everybody doesn't need therapy or counseling and these kinds of things, I think that when we see media, stories, headlines, when we see clicks increase as a result of negative coverage of people, I think that that gives us confirmation that the world that we live in, the people that we are, because we are those people, it says something about us and the lack of humanity that resides within us. Until we become people who call a thing, who are accountable for the trauma and the detriment that we're leaving on our society, we're not people who are evolving at all. We're people that are stagnant. We don't want to win. We don't want to win. But the realities are we don't want anybody else to win either. We realized that we were not worthy at some point. We talked ourselves out of the fight at some point. And because we talked ourselves out of the fight, at whatever point that was, we want to make sure that whoever decided to remain in the fight, and whoever remained vigilant, whoever remained aware, conscientious, who got the wherewithal to continue in the fight, we want to make sure that those people do not succeed, because we want to make our truth the only truth in the room. When in fact, several perceptions can be true and very different from one another in the same space, given the same observation and the same objects and experiences, if we allow them to be. Allow other people to have their truths. Allow other people to live life through their own lens. More importantly, allow yourself to elevate your consciousness, people. Because the greatest thing that a Black person can discover is the impact and the power of cognizance as it relates to your biases and your prejudices and your worldview. The power of perception lies therein. You got to know what is controlling you. You've got to know what is impacting you. You've got to know what's filtering through your cognitive resonance. You've got to know what drives you. When you know what drives you, regardless of how many different issues there are that you're thinking about, you can succeed, but you also can celebrate the successes of other people, even if it doesn't mean that you've excelled as well. You're still winning because you're promoting that other person and you're hoping that they come out on the positive end of things as well. So I'd love to know what your thoughts are. I'd love to know how it is that you guys have grown and you have healed through your losses, and what it is that you did to gain closure. More importantly, I'd love to know what you guys think of this movie, because I feel like it was an amazing depiction of a child's worldview and a very proud daughter's view of her father, who she feels has contributed in the greatest way to her success, who has contributed and impacted her in the greatest way possible, right? So share your thoughts with me and let me know how you guys feel about the movie, how you guys feel about the man behind the movie, or should I say the women behind the movie, because essentially it's telling the story of Venus and Serena. And how do you guys feel about his first family coming forward saying that a movie that says it's labeled as King Richard but has no mention of its first family is not a true depiction of him and blah, 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 even though the picture is not really about him, essentially. It's about the greatness that resides in all Black men. That's what it's about. It's about Black men finding the keys to their kingdom within and unlocking it and unleashing it. So for you Black men that are out there, let me be the first person to encourage you to take the next step. You are not the remnants of your past. Whatever you decide that this day will be, it will be. You just have to decide. So until next time, go out there and be the best version of you that you can be. And don't let the world tell you you cannot be, whatever that is. Later days. Bye.
Who alive can't put me in a box. I redefine any definition you got. I am the tiger, I'm making steps to the top. The flames, I whip it up, you just gotta hand me the rock. Take a seat, you cannot stand it. All I know, the flow harder than a Scotch bunny. Don't try it, good in me, you cannot manage. This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon. This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon.